Welcome to my another session, and today we are going to discuss about the LED. We don't know how it works, but actually we are enjoying the output of the LED, that is light that is emitted from the device. In this video, we are going to present how the LED works. Before going with that video, I request everyone to kindly subscribe our channel. Let's get into the video. In general, the LED works with the recombination mechanism that is utilized by the extrinsic semiconductors to equilibrate. Thus, the recombination mechanism is done at the excess charge carriers through the bringing together and annihilation of oppositely charged carriers, specifically the annihilation of positively charged holes and negatively charged impurity or free electrons. A recombination results in the release of energy. That energy, we are saying it as photon of energy h nu. The electrons jumping down from the conduction band in order to recombine with the holes generated in the valence band. The energy released can be in the form of photons or thermal lattice vibrations, which is known as phonons or phonon of energy. This resultant energy strength and type were determined by material characteristics, band gap energy, and the presence of defects within a material that can act as a traps for the energy. Thus, the recombination mechanisms for the materials are highly important for the optimization of the semiconductor devices such as solar or the light emitting diodes. We heard about the conduction band and the valence band. Thus, the movement of electron into the empty state which occurs in one or more steps through the band gap. Thus, the difference in the energies between the metastable and the final state of the electron is then released so to allow the electron to occupy its final state. This process of electron and hole annihilation is known as recombination. Thus, the electron hole pair combines together to form the recombination. In that recombination, there will be a radiative recombination and as well as non-radiative recombination. So, both together depends on the lifetime of the charge carriers. If the energy is released through the recombination is in the form of a photon, then that process is known as a radiative recombination. In this radiative recombination, the electrons moving fully from the conduction band to the valence band. Now we will discuss about non-radiative recombination. It often results in the material defects and intermediate energy levels in the band gap. The non-radiative recombination can be categorized as either auger or defect level driven recombination. This diagram says about the radiative band to band recombination and non-radiative recombination. The second diagram it says Shockley-Reed-Hall recombination method. The third it says auger recombination, that is the black circles represents metastable electrons in the conduction band while gray squares represents electron holes in the conduction band. This ERC is an arbitrary energy level introduced in the band gap that acts as the recombination center. This radiative recombination is the mechanism which is responsible for the whole photon emission, and the light emitting diodes are mainly associated with the band to band recombination. As a result of the high energy differences associated with a complete band gap transition, direct band to band recombination is only possible in materials with extremely low defect concentrations. We understood that the recombination will depends on the material defects and as well as the manufacturing of that device. Due to the material composition, it may have the differences in their distances and as well as strengths of the conduction band and as well as the valence band. According to the band theory of semiconductors, it will alter the band structure of the material. The direct bandgap materials such as gallium arsenide are manufactured to have little to no crystalline defects. Hence, it prevents the creation of defect levels within the bandgap energy, thus providing higher efficiency. Material which is used to manufacture that LED, if it has defects in that crystal structure, the charge carriers have the possibility of becoming trapped, thus making a recombination extremely less favorable. When an electron or a hole is captured in an energy level close to the conduction or valence bands respectively, it is said that the carrier is trapped. This diagram, it says the types of LED, that is surface emitting LED and edge emitting LED. In that surface emitting LED, we'll have a surface near to that active region, or the active region is made near to the surface, whereas at the edge of that device we are going to make an active region or the formation of active region, which is said to be edge emitting LED. Epoxy resin has been used in that edge emitting LED to protect the layer from electrical contacts. Nowadays, in order to manufacture the LED, we will be using a pure gallium nitride, which is highly crystalline with a versatile crystal structure. When the dopant atoms are added to make that semiconductor either p-type or the n-type, the material exhibits a high dislocation density. This high dislocation density on the order of 10 billion defects per square centimeter, that is going to be introduced for the tensile stresses making that semiconductors. As a result of reducing the number of defects and in turn the number of non-radiative recombination zones. In this video, to my viewers and subscribers, we are going to ask one question: why there is a replication of defects in semiconductor thin films which is undesirable? I hope we have given the enough idea about the LED and its types. If you have any comments, please do comments in our comment section. Before that, answer to that question what we asked. Thank you.